Hey, it's Joe Vonderschmidt with Century 21 Results, Go with Joe & Co. And I'm here for another live episode of A Cup of Joe live every single Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. discussing all things real estate on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So thank you guys for being here this morning. I've got a very good topic that I'm excited to talk about. But first things first, if you guys would like a Cup of Joe coffee mug or a t-shirt, please let me know and I'll be sure to get those to you. And as always, I can't see that you're watching, so be sure to comment, let me know that you're here, say good morning, and I appreciate you guys being here. So today's topic is going to be 15 tactics to help your offer stand out in a competitive market. So I've got 15 things that I want to talk about, or 15 tips, 15 tactics that is going to help your offer stand out, whether you are a buyer or you're an agent representing a buyer, a buyer's agent. So the first category that I wanted to get into is money. So of course, money always talks. So there's a couple different tactics under the money category that I want to go over. Number one is going to be an escalation clause. I know that's something that we've talked about on this show before, escalation clauses. Escalation clauses essentially state you'll pay X amount higher than the highest offer, not to exceed X amount. So it's saying that you'll be the highest bidder. Now, some agents, they don't like that. Other agents like myself, I'm a big fan. But what I do when I'm on the buyer side is I always reach out to the listing agent and ask if they're open to escalation clauses, because it can be a great way to separate yourself from the other offers. And unless you're competing against other escalation clauses, it can be, a good opportunity to really win that deal. Of course, there's a lot of other stipulations that go into offers, but it can certainly help. Number two is going to be appraisal gap guarantees. So let's just say that your appraisal comes in low on the property. You're stating that you'll pay over appraised value. Now, a lot of people say, what if the appraisal comes in, $30,000 or $40,000 low? I don't want to make up that entire gap. And that's totally fine. And if I were in your position, I wouldn't want to do that either. But what we have been seeing is people that are putting in the contract, saying that they'll pay, a couple $1,000s over the appraised value. Just any sort of guarantee that they're going to pay over the appraised value in the event that it were to come in low. So appraisal gap guarantees can certainly make you stand out. Number three is going to be covering seller expenses. Now, of course, in a real estate transaction, you as the buyer are not responsible for paying any commissions. Now, what you could do is structure your offer so you can say, hey, I'm responsible for paying, all or a portion of my agent's commission. Or you can even do something where you're stating that, we did an offer recently where we offered to pay the seller's mortgage up until the time of closing, and we got the deal. So that was one of the more creative things I've seen, and I honestly can't take credit for that. Believe it or not, my client actually came up with that tactic, and I'd never heard of it. My broker had never heard of it, but it's something that we worked out, and we allowed the seller to have zero expenses from the time of contract to close. It was guaranteed money. So the next category that I wanted to get into is timing. So timing can be crucial for winning an offer. So let's see, closing date. Closing date's going to be super important. So one of the things that I always do when I have a client that's interested in moving forward on a house and wanting to write an offer is I will always call the listing agent. And one of the questions that I'll always ask is, what is the ideal closing date for the seller? A lot of people get confused and think a quick closing is always best, but that's really not the case. I mean, you never know what the seller's situation is going to be. They could want to close, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days from now. You never know what their situation is going to be. So always ask what their ideal and preferred closing date would be. Another thing that can be appealing to a seller is going to be a post-closing move-out date. So you'll have the closing, and a lot of times, it depends on how the contract is written. You take possession at closing. But if you can give the seller a couple days to get all their stuff moved out, that can be something that a seller really appreciates. And a lot of times is not a lot of sweat off your back as a buyer, just letting the seller, have 2 or 3 days or however many days to move out of the house, just so they're not so stressed on that moving day and closing day. It can really help you stand out. The next topic that I wanted to get into is things that can be convenient for the seller. So as is contracts. So an as is contract is appealing because you're essentially stating that you're not asking the seller to do any repairs. So they know that they won't have this stress after the home inspection to go out and do a whole bunch of repairs and get contractors out there and coordinate all that. They can simply just focus on moving and figuring out where they're going to go to. So just because it's an as is sale doesn't mean you're just buying the house as is, whether it has tons of repairs or not. We can request compensation for those repairs, which still allows the seller to not have to worry about getting repairs done, but it still allows you to stay protected as a buyer and make sure you're getting compensation to do these repairs. And of course, if they're not willing to give compensation to those repairs, you still have the ability to back out, terminate the contract, and get your earnest money back, assuming you are still in your due diligence and inspection period. This is one of the more creative things I've seen. So a lot of agents remember several months ago where it was actually pretty common for your offer to be accepted as a buyer's agent contingent upon the sale of your buyer's current home. And in this situation right now in the market, it's very hard to get those contingent offers accepted. However, something that we can do to stand out as buyers right now is kind of flip the roles to the seller. So we can give them our offer and make it contingent upon the seller finding their next home in 30 to 60 days. So that can really, really make you stand out in an offer. And what you'll realize a lot of times is when these sellers get the money in front of them, when these sellers have the offer in front of them, they'll find a way to make that offer work. They get a little bit less picky on homes that they're going to be looking at, and they'll find a way to make it work. So that can really, really make you stand out. And I'm going to repeat that because I think that's one of the more creative things. So, and like we used to do offers contingent upon the buyer's current home selling, make your offer contingent upon the seller finding their next home within the next 30 to 60 days. So that way you kind of give them an out. But I guarantee you, if you give them a good enough offer, they will find a way to make it work because they're automatically going to become less picky with finding their next home because they want your offer to work. So the next category is going to be certainty. So sellers want to see certainty. They don't want to have to worry about people terminating and backing out or the deal falling through. They want to know, okay, I need to move on this date and I don't want to have to worry about anything. So cash offers can obviously be a big help to that. Now, you may not be in a situation where you're not in a position where you can do a cash offer, and that's totally okay. There's actually programs that will do cash offers for you. So if you guys have any questions about that, would be more than happy to answer that for you. But essentially, as a buyer that's financing, it allows you to come in as a cash buyer, cash offer. So again, reach out to me if you guys have any questions about that, because pretty new thing to the market there that I think can really help a lot of people that are struggling to get their offers accepted. So make sure you reach out to me about that. Bridge loans. So bridge loans are going to help people that have to sell in order to buy, but have a lot of equity in their house. So it's going to allow you as a buyer to essentially take the equity from your house, use it as the down payment for your next, and be able to purchase without selling. So pretty cool option there. Also, giving sellers some sort of guarantee or a penalty. So something like you can put down guaranteed earnest money. So earnest money, I know we've talked about in the show before, is going to be what the money that you put down at the time your offer is accepted, and of course it goes towards your down payment. But what you can do is you can actually put down a little bit or all of your earnest money as a guaranteed amount. So stating that, hey, even if we terminate during our due diligence period at all, this is going to be guaranteed money. You can keep this money if we were to back out for any reason, or guarantee, hey, we're going to close on this date. And if we don't close on this date, you're guaranteed this money. So giving them some sort of guarantee or penalizing yourself if you don't close on the house on whatever date that you agree upon. Making sure you have your financing approved ahead of time. This is huge, especially in today's market. If you are going to be financing, make sure that your financing is already approved. You've already got your documents sent to the lender. Of course, you can't have full approval, but it is possible to have conditional approval ahead of time before even submitting your offer. Candace, good morning. Really appreciate you being here this morning. Thanks for letting us know you're here watching. And guys, just a reminder, if you are here with us watching this morning, even if you're watching on replay, please let me know that you're here watching. Thank you guys for tuning in for another week of another episode of A Cup of Joe, talking all things real estate. Again, if you guys want a mug, please let me know. But thank you guys for being here watching. And all right, so the next category that I wanted to get into is after the offer. So after the offer, there's a couple different things. There's 4 different things that I really want to point out that can be crucial to getting your offer accepted. Number 1 is being patient. So you got to understand that these agents and these sellers have a ton of people that are wanting to see their house, that are reaching out to them, having questions. So be patient. Do your due diligence up front, meaning before you give that agent a call and ask them a question, be sure to look up to see if the MLS sheet might already have the answer to that question. It can make you look a lot better to the listing agent when you do call to introduce yourself. Number 2 is going to be communication. So it's communication is key. I really, really appreciate it when I'm the listing agent and the buyer's agent is reaching out to me, letting me know that their offer's coming, telling me to confirm that I've received their offer. So everything that I like to see out of a buyer's agent when I'm on the listing side, I try to do as a buyer's agent to the listing agent. So communication is key. I would say, 2 times a day is a good amount of time to reach out to the listing agent. I always do it by phone. I want them to, I want to have a real conversation with them, not just over text. And something that I always do is I say my name and who I'm with. So Joe Vonderschmidt with Century 21 at the beginning of the conversation, and I always end the conversation with that, saying again, thank you for taking my call. This is Joe Vonderschmidt. I'm with Century 21. I want them to remember who I am, so when they see my offer, they know that they've already talked with me, because they have a lot of people reaching out to them. So something that can also help you as a buyer is going to be writing a personal letter. This is something that's been very, very helpful for a lot of my clients recently. So writing a letter to the seller for the listing agent to present to the seller along with your offer, stating, a little bit about your situation, telling them about your family, why you love their house, why you can see yourself living in their house, and maybe including a couple of pictures of the house. So this can be helpful right now. Not all sellers will connect with it, but a lot of times sellers will connect with those personal letters on a emotional level and really want you to actually take over their house. So that can be extremely beneficial. And then the last thing is going to be number 15 is going to be going the extra mile. So right now, it can be extremely hectic for everybody, really, sellers and buyers and agents, everybody involved. It can be pretty hectic. But we as the buyer's agent have to really try and go the extra mile. If there's anything that we can do to try and help our clients or help the listing agent to get our offer accepted, anything that we can do to go over the top to really show that we care is going to be extremely beneficial to getting your offer accepted. So those are 15 tactics to help get your offer accepted in a competitive market. So guys, thank you again for being here for another episode of A Cup of Joe live every single Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Be sure to tune in next week to talk all things real estate, and I'm super excited about next week's topic. It is going to be called Bubble Trouble. Are we in a real estate bubble right now? And I think this is going to be a good one because I've seen a lot of buzz about this topic here recently. So be sure to tune in next week live at 8 a.m. and I'll see you guys there.